The village of Lunaria was always peaceful at night, its cobblestone streets glowing under the moonlight. Lyra, a spirited girl with a wild imagination, often stared at the sky, weaving stories in her head about the stars. But one fateful night, as she lay in bed, a soft whisper broke the silence. Lyra. Startled, she sat up, her heart racing. The sound seemed to beckon her. A melody of little flutes filled the air. She tiptoed outside, drawn to the silver glow of the full moon. Its light seemed to pulse, bathing her in warmth. "You must listen," the moon said. Frozen in awe, Lyra realized her life was about to change. The moon's voice was soothing, yet commanding. "Long ago, there was a kingdom called Lunestre," it began. "It thrived under my light, its people harmonious and wise. But greed and betrayal broke its peace. The queen sought to steal my power, and in her failure, the kingdom was cursed. Hidden behind a veil of time." Lyra listened, her mind racing. The moon continued, "You, Lyra, are the only one who can restore the Lunestre. You must uncover the truth and heal what has been broken." The weight of the task frightened her, but Lyra's heart burned with determination. The morning after her strange encounter, Lyra searched her grandmother's attic, guided by the moon's whispers. Dust danced in the sunlight, streaming through a small window. She rummaged through old boxes until her fingers brushed something cold and metallic. She pulled out a silver pendant, its surface etched with intricate symbols. As she held it, the pendant began to glow softly, and warmth spread through her palm. Lyra felt a deep connection to it, as though it had been waiting for her. Her grandmother's old stories about magical relics now seemed more real than ever. The journey was beginning. As Lyra examined the pendant near the village fountain, a boy appeared out of nowhere. His hair was dark as midnight, and his eyes sparkled like stars. "You're the one the moon chose," he said, startling her. Introducing himself as Calum, he claimed to be a servant of the moon, sent to guide her. At first, Lyra was suspicious, but his knowledge of the pendant and Lunestre's curse convinced her. "The journey will be dangerous," Calum warned, "but the fate of the kingdom depends on you." Lyra, clutching the pendant, nodded. Fear mingled with excitement as they set off. The forest of shadows loomed ahead, its dense trees creating a canopy that blocked out the sun. Entering it felt like stepping into another world. Shadows slithered across the ground, whispering inaudible words. As they ventured deeper, a shadowy figure emerged, taking the form of Lyra's late father. "Stay with me," it pleaded, its voice soft. "Not your fears. Trust your heart, not your fears." Holding the pendant tightly, she summoned its light. The shadow hissed and dissolved, leaving the forest silent. At the forest's edge, they found an ancient well covered in moss. Its waters shimmered like liquid moonlight. Lyra leaned closer, and the whispers began. The well revealed glimpses of Lunestre's past. The queen, driven by envy, attempted to capture the moon's power, but unleashed a curse instead. Lyra watched as the kingdom fell into darkness, its people frozen in time. Its people reminded her, the past does not define the future. Lyra dipped the pendant into the well, and its glow intensified, confirming that they were on the right path. Beyond the well lay a desolate village, its buildings crumbling under the weight of time. As they walked through the streets, voices filled the air, fragments of conversations from a time long gone. Lyra heard laughter, arguments, and desperate cries for help. "These are the echoes of Lunestrada," Caleb explained. Suddenly, the voices grew louder, overwhelming her. She fell to her knees, clung to get the pendant. Its light flared, silencing the echoes. Lyra realized the curse was not just a punishment, but a cry for redemption. The people of Lunestra were waiting for someone to set them free. The moon's voice returned, guiding Lyra and Caleb to the caves of despair. Inside, they found a sorrowful giant guarding a shard of moonlight. The giant's tears formed pools on the ground. "I was once a protector of Lunestra," he lamented, "but I failed to stop the queen's betrayal." Lyra's compassion moved her to comfort him. "You can still help," she said, offering her hand. The giant, moved by her kindness, gave her the shard. "Use it wisely," he said, his voice heavy with hope. Lyra felt the pendant grow stronger, and they pressed on. The man out front started pacing the few feet, hesitating, and then pressing. Before Lyra and Caleb left the cave, the giant shared his sorrowful story. He had been the guardian of the moon's sacred light, trusted with protecting its power. When the queen demanded access to it, he refused, but her deceit caught him off guard. She used dark magic to weaken him and stole a fragment of moonlight. "I couldn't stop her," the giant said, his voice trembling, "and now I am cursed to mourn my failure." Lyra promised to honor his sacrifice and restore Lunestra. His parting gift, the shard of moonlight, glowed brightly in her hands, filling her with newfound determination. The journey brought them to a breathtaking sight, a bridge made of stardust, spanning a deep chasm. The bridge shimmered in the moonlight, but as Lyra stepped onto it, it began to dissolve under her feet. "Only those who trust themselves completely can cross," Caleb explained. Fear gripped Lyra, but she focused on the pendant and its growing light. She stepped forward, her heart steady, and the bridge reformed beneath her feet. Caleb followed, but halfway across, he stumbled. Lyra reached out, grabbing his hand. Together they crossed, their bond strengthened by their shared trust. A thick mist awaited them on the other side, swirling with images of Lyra's deepest fears. She saw her village burning, her loved ones turning away from her, and the queen's shadowy figure looming. "These are only illusions," Caleb reminded her, but the visions felt real. Lyra closed her eyes, holding the pendant close. Its light pierced through the mist. A magnificent yet ruined castle appeared in the distance. Lyra felt a chill. The heart of Lunestra waited, and with it, the source of the curse. The castle was a haunting sight. Once grand, its towers were now crumbling, and its walls were cloaked in dark vines. As they stepped inside, Lyra felt an overwhelming sadness. The halls echoed with faint whispers of courtly life, now long gone. The moonlight streaming through the broken windows illuminated the throne room. At its center stood an ornate mirror, cracked and pulsing with a dark aura. "This mirror is the anchor of the curse," Caleb said, his voice heavy. Lyra knew that destroying it would not be easy. The air grew colder as they prepared for what lay ahead. While exploring the castle, Lyra discovered a hidden library buried beneath the rubble. Inside, ancient books told the story of Lunestra's rise and fall. One tome detailed how the queen had attempted to harness the moon's power using the pendant, but failed, unleashing a destructive force instead. The curse froze the kingdom in time, leaving her spirit trapped, consumed by bitterness. Lyra realized the pendant's true purpose: to channel the moon's light in, undo the curse. As she read, the pendant glowed brighter, responding to her growing understanding of its power. In the throne room, the air thickened as a shadowy figure materialized, the Queen's spirit. Her presence was oppressive, her voice a chilling echo. "You dare challenge me?" she hissed. "The moon betrayed me, and now it seeks to destroy me." Lyra stood firm, pendant in hand. The Queen's shadow lashed out, trying to take the pendant. Lyra's light shielded her, but the Queen's power was immense. "You don't understand," the Queen cried, her voice filled with anguish. Lyra hesitated, sensing there was more to the Queen's story than simple greed. As the battle raged, Calum stepped forward, his expression conflicted. "I'm sorry, Lyra," he said, grabbing the pendant from her hand. "The Queen promised to restore my family if I helped her." Lyra's heart sank as Calum handed the pendant to the Queen. The shadowy figure laughed, her form growing stronger. "You are always so easy to manipulate," she sneered at Calum. Lyra, though betrayed, refused to give up. She remembered the shard of moonlight gifted by the giant and knew she still had a chance to stop the Queen. Desperate, Lyra turned to the moon, her silent ally. "Help me," she whispered. The moon wept, its tears falling like silver rain. Lyra collected them, and they formed a new, stronger pendant in her hands. Its light was blinding, cutting through the Queen's dark magic. The Queen screamed in rage, her shadowy form retreating. Calum, realizing the depth of his mistake, stepped forward. "I was wrong," he said, tears in his eyes. "Let me help you." Together, they prepared for the final confrontation. The Queen unleashed her full power, her shadow twisting and growing. The castle trembled, cracks forming in its walls. Lyra held the new pendant high, its light clashing with the Queen's darkness. The battle was fierce, each side pushing the other to their limits. Lyra's compassion shone through as she spoke to the Queen. "Your pain doesn't have to define you." The Queen hesitated, her form flickering. In that moment, Calum sacrificed himself, using the last of his strength to destroy the Queen's shadow. Her spirit dissolved, leaving behind a feeling of peace. Calum's sacrifice left Lyra heartbroken, but determined to honor his memory. His final act had helped her break the curse. The castle began to glow, its ruins transforming back into their former glory. The people of Lunastra, frozen in time for centuries, awoke, bewildered but alive. Lyra felt a sense of accomplishment, but also lost. The moon's voice returned, comforting her. He found his redemption, and so did the Queen. With the curse lifted, the kingdom of Lunastra blossomed once more. The people celebrated their liberation, hailing Lyra as their savior. She returned the pendant to the moonlight, allowing its power to remain with Lunastra forever. The giant appeared at the castle gates, free from his sorrow. "You have done what I could not," he said with a smile. Lyra felt a deep sense of belonging, knowing she had fulfilled her destiny. Lyra. Her village returned to Lunaria, her village forever changed. The moon's whispers had stopped, but its presence remained a comforting glow in the night sky. She shared her story with others, ensuring the tale of Lunastra would never be forgotten. The silver pendant, now dim, rested in her hands, a symbol of hope, courage, and redemption. As Lyra looked up at the moon, she smiled, knowing she had made a difference. Her story would inspire generations to come, proving that even the smallest voices could bring light to the darkest of places.